have Dr. Jerome Corsi on for the next 30 minutes or so to talk about the incredible headlines. Hawaii governor can't find Obama birth certificate, suggests controversy could hurt president's re-election chances. Here's the Daily Mail. Hawaiian governor claims record of Obama's births exist in archives but can't produce the vital document. So he did this big throwing down the gauntlet a few weeks ago, and now he can't produce it. And the man who has been tirelessly on this case, here's Media Matters, George Soros' mouthpiece, Corsi's pathological quest to prove Obama is Kenyan continues. Well, he didn't really believe it years ago until he went to Kenya and they arrested him when he was trying to, or kidnapped him, basically detained him. And now he's certainly on to something, and we know he gave up his citizenship when he was in Indonesia. He lied about that. He lied about going to the mosque and being a Muslim. Not that it's bad that he's a Muslim, but why would he cover that up? But it's good that we have Dr. Corsi on, because he is an expert, as I am as well, on the 10 FEMA regions, on the Emergency Centers Act, on the John Warner Defense Authorization Act. He wrote about it as a conservative and criticized it when Bush was in. He continues to. But the left controlling this country, by the same Wall Street interest, are accelerating Homeland Security at shopping malls, Homeland Security signs, telescreens going up at 9,000 malls and Walmarts. I mean, it's all happening. And now we have Congressman Steve Cohen calling Republicans Nazis, Goebbels, and trying to say that it's their fault that this guy who, before he went completely schizophrenic, was a, quote, very liberal pothead. They are now trying to restrict free speech. Huge article from Steve Watson at prisonplanet.com. Obama may call for gun control during State of the Union. We also have the Examiner and the New York Daily News reporting that they're holding these 100 mafia people at a military base. This is the slow rollout of this Homeland Security grid. So I wanted to get Dr. Corsi first to talk about the Governor's Council that he's really been researching. I've even had JAG former colonels on who were saying it's very dangerous, and where all this is going, and what he thinks of Cass Sunstein calling for arresting global warming skeptics, what he thinks of Cohen behind the scenes now admitting that he pressured Time Warner to shut down Ventura's episode on the police state, which from the research, it's all documented. I mean, these are really dark times when Pennsylvania Avenue is lined with the bloodiest flag in history of the murderous communist Chinese. Our media is telling us how the Singapore/communist Chinese model is the model for the world. We're told China's now our owner. I mean, this stuff is accelerating, is it not, Dr. Corsi?
Well, I think all the concerns are legitimate, Alex, and I share your concerns. Representative Cohen today issued a statement, a non-apology apology. I'm not sorry for what I said, but I'm sorry if it may have offended some people. The kind of way Cohen approached it, and I thought that was really disingenuous. I mean, here, right after all the left is out saying we've got to tone down the vitriol, Cohen is on the floor of the House accusing Republicans of being Nazis, and that's just unacceptable for the Democrats to have this double standard that applies to anybody except those on the left.
Well, it's not just a double standard. We've seen Obama say they bring a knife, we bring a gun. We've seen congressmen saying he wants to line up Republican governors and shoot them. I mean, I'm nonpartisan, as you know. I'm just a libertarian that wants freedom. But, I mean, all the union thugs beating people up, I'd say Democratic vitriol and Democrat thugs attacking people in the streets, it's got to be 10-1 what we see conservatives doing.
Well, and the left has been known for this forever. The tactic is basically, if you can't defeat your opponent by argument, engage in ridicule, brutality, anything to marginalize or beat up or intimidate your opponent. It's one of the themes of Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals. Ridicule your opponents, engage in ad hominem attacks, marginalize them, personalize the attacks. These tactics on the left are unacceptable, especially for anybody, libertarian, conservative, whomever, trying to pursue the truth. I'm an investigative reporter. You know, Alex, I've reported and criticized both Republican and Democratic presidents alike. I got excoriated by the George Bush supporters when I was writing the late great USA and reporting on the North American Union and the Security and Prosperity Partnership in North America. So it's really not fair to characterize me as a Republican. I'm not a member of the Republican Party. The only party I ever joined was the Constitution Party.
Finishing up with the 10 FEMA regions, the Governor's Council, I know you've written some very piercing articles that concur with my analysis. To have Cohen running around when confronted by Ventura and saying that the Emergency Centers Act did not exist until he was handed the bill, and then he goes, oh, I do remember that now. I mean, it's a Perry Mason moment, Sylvester caught with a Tweety bird in his mouth. And then he goes on to basically say there's no Governor's Council, none of this is real, none of this is a threat. I mean, is he counting on people's ignorance?
Well, I think he is. And first of all, Jesse Ventura has done very good reporting. I think this new series Ventura has on television is excellent. I especially like to show on the JFK murder conspiracy. I thought that was particularly well done.
Well, he broke with insiders right before ClimateGate even came out. He had the basic ClimateGate info and exposed global warming. And, you know, Jesse went into that. He's got a mix of views, believing it, and I and others convinced him and showed him the documents, and so he told the truth. I mean, he's real, and that's what they don't like.
Well, that's right. And I've written on the FEMA contracts. They've had contracts. I don't have them in front of me right now, the articles I've written, but...
No, I know I sprung this on you, but I mean, let's talk about FEMA. I mean, talk about the...
They have had... There's contracts out there for the Department of Homeland Security, legitimate contracts with major contractors to build detention camps whenever they need them for whatever reason. And I've got to start getting into it again, but the directives on the national security directives that President Bush signed that basically give the president dictatorial policy powers, take over even all governments down to tribal governments. On the presidential declaration, there's a national emergency without the involvement of Congress in that declaration. President Obama has actually now started expanding these powers with executive orders again that buttress the office of the presidency in a self-declared emergency, national emergency by the president, to become a virtual dictator. And those are very frightening powers that I think, again, need to be constantly examined, and I need to get back to reporting on them as well.
Well, it's going into high gear, and for Cohen to run around calling people Nazis, while at the same time, a few weeks ago, calling to cut down the vitriol, we need the fairness doctrine, we need to have the government regulate the internet. I mean, there's no doubt. How many czars have we had praise Mao or praise Chavez? We have the FCC diversity czar openly saying we need Chavez-type media controls. I mean, these people are not liberals. They're authoritarians.
Well, John Holdren saying that for population control, for climate control, we may need to have population control. We may need to consider forced sterilization. Look, what's going on, Alex, is very clear. The far left wants to control. They want to create a narrative. And the narrative they want to create is anybody who disagrees with them is being disruptive, engaging in vitriol. They want to demonize anybody who disagrees with them. And they want a double standard in which the left and their far extremist supporters can say anything they want about those who disagree with them, but anything an honest critic like yourself, or the investigations that I do, I'm excoriated all the time by the left because we disagree, because we don't go along with the party line the left wants propagated. We're immediately demonized.
Briefly, and then I want to get into the big news here, the birth certificate. I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire, and this is... I was open-minded about this 2 years ago and thought maybe it was baloney. Now the evidence is clear. They're hiding something big. But just briefly, your take on the situation with China, what the media is doing, where they're saying we could learn from China. China's good. We're bad. They're our new boss. What the system's trying to push there, and the latest tidbits on the SPP, North American Union, integration by stealth.
Well, people have got to read my America for Sale. I've been warning for years that we're headed into a globalist configuration. The globalists intend this. And it's, again, globalists of the left and the right. The multinational corporations and Henry Kissinger and Council on Foreign Relations, and the left, the open borders crowd, it's Zbigniew Brzezinski, it's Barack Obama. They want to erase borders. China is fine with these people because China exploits labor. China's a dictatorial government that is communist, does not tolerate free speech, Try bringing a Bible into China and see how far you get. Don't have too many children in China. Don't disagree with the government or you'll be sent to thought reform. And that China has a veneer of some business principles does not mean that China has become a capitalist country or one is not dangerous to our national interests. And now we're deeply indebted to China, and Barack Obama is in a position of having to bow, can't object to anything. I thought it was disgraceful. It was clearly something I never expected to see in my lifetime.
Why does he continue to Saudi, British royals, communist dictators? I mean, he literally bows like an errand boy, and they don't bow to him. I mean, and they even look at him like he's pathetic. Is this part of the humiliation of America, part of a larger psyop?
I think it's part of the whole theme, yes, that America is at fault. That we're, look, when I wrote The Abomination, I pointed out Barack Obama comes from a far leftist basis intellectually, mentors like Frank Marshall Davis, who was truly communist, and the narrative there is that the United States is a capitalist, imperialist, oppressor country that enslaved the blacks. Barack Obama also disrespects the British because of British colonialism, saying that the French are our greatest friend ever. Well, I mean, I can remember lots of times the French weren't particularly friendly to us at all. And here you've got a situation where America being blamed is the narrative out of the White House. The apology tour that Barack Obama ran and continues to run is one that, does not acknowledge American exceptionalism, talks about slavery, but does not talk about the Civil War or the post-Civil War legislation which freed the slaves.
But you don't dare talk about Hu Jintao being elected by a committee of dictators. You don't dare talk about that. Oh, how dare Harry Reid actually, a blind pig can find acorns, broken clocks are right twice a day. I mean, oh, how dare him? How dare someone in the press corps ask a mild question about human rights? This is terrible. I mean, it's a total capitulation to tyranny and authoritarianism, and I know you read a lot. I see it all over the media, cheerleading on the left and right for authoritarianism, reminiscent of the 30s when anything authoritative was like sexy.
Well, people, don't know because we don't teach history in the American schools anymore. But in the 30s, when fascism and Nazism were starting in Italy and in Europe, the U.S. was enthusiastic about both. Hitler was on the cover of Time magazine as Man of the Year. I mean, this is the kind of thing that you had that people don't remember. I've documented, others have documented it. You've got, the Wall Street crowd, including Prescott Bush, helping to fund the Nazis, the Dulles family, Averell Harriman, this whole group running Union Bank, which Franklin Roosevelt closed down because it was a Nazi bank being run in the United States. We want to erase all this part of our history, and we're doing it again. We're having both the left and the right falling in love with China, when I've warned again and again and again, America for Sale's key theme, that China exploits labor. Their whole proposition is that they have slave labor. They're going to continue slave labor. It's immoral. It's bad business. And China's moving to the point where they're going to demand assets.
And they're now doing that. Now shifting gears, we're almost out of time. Let's get into the big news here with Jerome Corsi, who writes for WorldNet Daily, also writes with Red Alert there at WorldNet Daily. We're linked to it all at Infowars.com. Because we're about to go to break, I want to start talking about Hawaiian governor can't find Obama's birth certificate, suggests controversy could hurt president's re-election chances. The Mail looked into it, and they concur. Hawaiian governor claims record of Obama's birth exists in archives but can't produce the vital document. I mean, for years they said, oh, that is his birth certificate, that fake receipt. Now, Chris Matthews a month ago said, yeah, just show it. Where's the original with the signature? I mean, this is really starting to look suspicious. Dr. Corsi, start getting into it.
Well, the key document that should be produced, if it exists, and I don't believe it does, is the long-form, hospital-generated Hawaiian birth certificate for Barack Obama. Now, if he was born at Kapiolani Hospital, like he claims in Hawaii in 1961, fine, I'm happy to believe that. Why can't I see the document?